No author wants to craft a great start to their story, only to leave it floundering in Act Two. Gladiator shows us what to do in that second quadrant so that we can keep our stories moving forward with powerful narrative drive. I'm Jule Kucera, creator and founder of StoryJoules, and I help writers tell powerful stories. The secret to keeping that second quadrant driving is to include a powerful story event that many story structure plot models omit. And I'll tell you what that is, but first, if you'd like to have this gladiator analysis for your own, you can download the StoryJoules handbook. Just click the link below. Last week, we left off with the arrest of Maximus, his I gotta go decision. I won't take the hand of the emperor. I will risk my life is what catapults him into the second quadrant, the second act. All looks bleak for our hero. He's been arrested. He is taken out for slaughter. But Maximus uses his wits and asks for a soldier's death, and that changes people's positions, and that enables him to escape. Maximus steals a horse, races for home, but when he gets there, his wife and son have been murdered, hanged, and burned. His reason to go home is gone. His family is gone. His reason to live is gone. Maximus buries them and then lies on their graves, ready to join them. This is the key story event many models miss, the woe shake-up of belief. And in Gladiator, it has two aspects. There is the external aspect and there is the internal aspect. The external aspect shows the power of the antagonist. Commodus has reached all the way to Maximus's home and has gotten there so quickly that Maximus couldn't save his family. This is the woe shake-up of belief of the external dimension. I think Gladiator, though, is, even with all this action, is more driven internally, and that shake-up comes a bit later. Maximus is carted off, he's sold to a slaver, and he learns from Juba, a fellow slave, that their lives are worth less than lions. Maximus has gone from a general commanding thousands to now a slave, worth less than a lion. In the social hierarchy, he's gone from near the top to almost the bottom. This woe shake-up of belief, this is the internal dimension, and it lays the foundation for the shattering that will happen at the midpoint. It's sort of like soaking a crusty pan so it can be scrubbed clean later. This is the beginning of the soaking of Maximus's mind. Here's a question for you and your story. What is the woe shake-up of belief in your work in progress? Looking at the StoryJoules model, we start Quadrant 2 with the upside-down world. Maximus has refused the emperor's hand. He's been arrested, carted out to be killed. And this is very different from the world he's been in. He's not in charge. He's shackled. He's obedient. It is a photo negative of the world that he was in. He is a general under arrest. Then he has his woe shake-up of belief twice, externally where he returns to his murdered family, and internally where he learns he's worth less than a lion. However, what the Avatar does next is they don't change their minds yet. They persist with their mindset that they've had from the beginning. And Maximus's mindset from the very beginning has been, I want to go be with my family. At the beginning, it's I want to be with them alive, but then after they're killed, I want to be with them in the afterlife. If I can't be with them alive, I want to be with them in the afterlife. That's all Maximus wants. He scrapes off his Mark of the Legion tattoo. He's no longer interested in that. He refuses to fight. It's all part of him wanting to be with his family, and death is the fastest way he sees to make that happen. In the external dimension of story, order, and chaos, Maximus is completely in a chaotic world. Even though he was in a war before, and that looks kind of chaotic to us, it was orderly to him. He understood that world. He was in charge in that world. He was leading the attack. But now he's in an upside-down world where he has no authority. He's at the bottom. Question for you is, how is my story world in this second quadrant increasingly chaotic? We need that chaos to drive the pressure to change. But now with Maximus, we need something to get him to change his mind and stop wanting to die, or we're going to have a very short story. But how, in the meantime, do you show your avatar clinging to stasis despite the chaos? Maximus refuses to fight even when he's beaten. He wants to die. He's doing everything he can to end his life quickly. We need to see the mindset failing them. And what I think about with this is if you've ever traveled to another country and you try to do something the way you did it back home and it just doesn't work. I remember when I was a teenager, my father and I went to Canada and we were at this small French-Canadian restaurant. And my father is saying, I want a hamburger. I want a hamburger. He is persisting. He is clinging to his mindset in a situation where it's not working. That's essentially what's happening in this Quadrant 2 internally. Stasis is failing our avatar. The second quadrant ends with the mindset shattering midpoint. For Maximus, he learns something. He learns that great gladiators appear before the emperor, and that changes everything for him. It shatters his mindset. He stops wanting to die. He starts wanting revenge. His goal is not only to stay alive and not only to fight, but to become a great gladiator. And that way he can appear before Commodus and he can kill Commodus. Notice that the mindset shattering midpoint is somewhat subtle. There's no trumpets announcing it. It's just a piece of information, but that piece of information changes everything. I like to think of the mindset shattering midpoint like a hypodermic needle. It's a subtle infusion of information, and it serves as the fulcrum to the story. So where the avatar was one way, now they're another. They saw the world one way, now they see it differently. They were reactive, now they are proactive. This idea of fulcrum is from Brian McDonald's Invisible Ink. And this new mindset will yield a new strategy. Here's a question for you and your story. What is the mindset shattering midpoint in my work in progress? If we think about the arc for Maximus, in this second quadrant of the StoryJoules model, he starts out, he's almost killed. He escapes. He finds his family murdered and he wants to die. He's sold into slavery. He learns he's less than a lion. He refuses to fight. He scrapes off his tattoo. And then he learns that great gladiators appear before the emperor and he wants to live, fight, and kill Commodus. It is not a muddled second act, second quadrant at all. And with that, we've completed Quadrant 2. Next week, Quadrant 3. Most story structure models align very well on Quadrant 3. And the good news is that the misery of this third quadrant will lay the foundation for the thrill of the fourth. What I talked about today, and we'll talk about next week, is in the StoryJoules handbook. You can download it. It's linked below. Thank you for being here. See you next time. Tally ho.